My husband and I were both reborn the day before our wedding. We silently chose to go our separate ways, neither of us mentioning the wedding. He went abroad with the internet celebrity he liked to start a business, while I stayed in the gallery and continued painting. 5 years later, he had become a well-known entrepreneur who sponsored his alma mater, while I was still working at the same gallery. When we met again, he had his arm around the waist of a beautiful internet celebrity, looking down at me, covered in mud, with mockery in his voice. After all these years, how is it that you still look so old and worn out? But later, when the city's most powerful tycoon held me in his arms, he panicked. Eva, how could you betray me and find another man behind my back? Chapter 1. On the day of the alumni celebration banquet hosted by our alma mater, Ryan returned triumphantly from abroad, basking in his success. As a distinguished entrepreneur and a major donor to the school, he was surrounded by classmates raising their glasses to toast him. When I entered the venue, the crowd was busy fawning over him. Ryan, you're a legend at our school now. Exactly. I heard you even established the Ryan Scholarship. We'll be counting on you in the future. By the way, is your girlfriend still Eva? At the mention of this, the group turned to Ryan with curiosity and gossip written all over their faces. Ryan lazily pulled the woman behind him closer and introduced her with a nonchalant expression. This is my girlfriend, Celine. You all probably know her. Wow. She's a famous influencer. Such a perfect match. The room buzzed with compliments for Celine. At that moment, one of the girls who had once shipped Ryan and me murmured wistfully, "Aw, so his girlfriend isn't Eva anymore. I used to love them together. If only they hadn't broken up." Such an atmosphere-ruining comment naturally went unanswered. Ryan's brows furrowed slightly, and his smile stiffened. We just weren't suitable for each other. Sensing his reluctance to talk about it, everyone tactfully changed the subject back to how well Ryan and Celine suited each other. After brushing the dirt off my clothes, I straightened up and walked in confidently. The class monitor was the first to notice me. "Oh, look who's here, our school beauty. Eva, come. Sit next to me." "What happened? You look so messy. Did you fall?" I responded with polite pleasantries, turning to meet Ryan's gaze. He rolled his eyes at me, his entire demeanor radiating disdain as he scanned me from head to toe. In his tailored trench coat and perfectly chiseled features, he looked like a noble prince. Standing beside him in her designer dress, Celine gently held his arm. The two of them together seemed undeniably compatible. And then there was me. The mud stains on my clothes were still visible, leaving me looking disheveled. But I didn't care. I nodded at him as a form of greeting and then turned away to chat with other classmates. "So, why the sudden alumni gathering?" "I heard it's because Luis sponsored a project for the school and our professor. Half the people here came just to meet him." "Luis? The rich and handsome guy from school back then?" "Yep, hoping I might have a lucky encounter with him." Hee hee. They continued their conversation while I looked down, fiddling with my phone. The professor wouldn't arrive for a while, covered in mud as I was. I felt incredibly uncomfortable. So, I called someone to deliver a change of clothes and headed to the restroom to get changed. When I came out, Ryan was pacing near the door, not wanting to get entangled with him. I turned to leave, but I didn't expect him to call out to me. "You've been struggling in that rundown gallery for so many years, and you couldn't even spare some money for a cab to get here? Did you take a spill outside and end up eating dirt? You're a complete mess." I turned to face that all too familiar face and replied firmly, "That's my business and has nothing to do with you." Ryan clenched his jaw tightly. "Then stay in the mud for the rest of your life." With that, he turned to leave, but halfway through, he stopped and looked back at me, his expression tinged with a smug satisfaction. "Eva, you're still as stubborn as ever. But no matter how much you pretend, I know you regret it. Too bad it's too late." Chapter 2. I stood still, watching his figure gradually disappear into the distance. Did I regret it? I thought of everything that had happened in my previous life. In that life, Ryan and I had gotten married right after graduating from college. In the beginning, things went relatively well because we were in love, but eventually, we lost to time and constant arguments. Before my rebirth, we had a massive fight. The argument was about his insistence that I quit my job and go abroad with him to start fresh. I didn't want to give up everything I had here. Ryan was throwing things, shouting at the top of his lungs, completely out of control. I tried to suppress my emotions and reason with him. If we both go abroad, what about Olivia? Olivia was our daughter. Ryan was an only child, and his parents were elderly. My parents passed away early. His parents didn't want us to leave home and move abroad. Olivia was still young and needed constant care. That's why I stayed at the gallery where I worked. The gallery wasn't large, but it was close to home and displayed many of my paintings. In a few more years, I might have become a partner at the gallery. The path was monotonous, but to be with Ryan and to provide a better life for our family, what did a little monotony matter? I cherished my family and everything we had, but happy days never seemed to last. After Ryan visited a friend's company abroad, he became obsessed with the idea of moving overseas to pursue bigger opportunities. He believed that if he had chosen to study and work abroad from the start, he would have achieved far greater success. In reality, our life wasn't bad at all. We had a house, a car, and no loans to worry about. Together, our savings totaled a 7-figure sum, but Ryan was still dissatisfied with our life. He glared at me, his eyes full of anger, standing frozen in place. What kind of man wants to be tied down at home by someone like you? And besides, those are my parents, not yours. I never said I needed to take care of them. So why are you acting like some saint? As for our daughter, we can just take Olivia with us. If you really want to act like the perfect person, we can bring my parents to live with us abroad too. His words pierced my heart like nails. All the years I had spent caring for his parents, everything I had done for them, were dismissed as me acting like a saint. And he made it sound so simple, bringing the child and his parents along to start over abroad. But reality isn't that easy. Adjusting to a new language, society, environment, schooling, and work would leave us struggling to cope ourselves. Where would we find the energy to care for others? I tried to reason with him patiently, but he interrupted me before I could finish. Eva, let me ask you one last time. Are you choosing me or that rundown gallery? If you choose that worthless gallery, we'll go file for divorce right now. I stood there in shock. I never thought he'd actually threaten me with divorce just to go abroad. Ryan, why are you so determined to leave and start over? I couldn't understand. He sneered mockingly. Are all older women like you? Even if you don't care about yourself, even if you're content to lie flat here, shouldn't you think about Olivia? Do you want Olivia to end up like you? An old, washed-up housewife her whole life? Anger flared inside me, burning hotter than ever. Wanting to balance work and family is lying flat? Ryan, opportunities aren't exclusive to living abroad. If you work hard, there are paths to success everywhere. The life we have now is the best security we can give Olivia and your parents. Enough. Ryan cut me off impatiently. If you're not going, I'll go. I should never have married you in the first place. A useless woman like you only drags me down. He shouted insults while throwing his belongings into a suitcase. It wasn't the first time I'd heard him say things like that. But before, I had always assumed it was just his arrogance and his bad way of expressing himself. Looking back now, could the words he always had on the tip of his tongue have been lies? I fear that, in his heart, I was always nothing more than a useless burden. When he picked up his suitcase and was about to leave, I followed him into the car, worried about his unstable emotions. But an accident still happened. Ryan continued to lash out at me angrily while we were in the car, and eventually, our vehicle was struck by an out-of-control truck and overturned. We were trapped under the car, the ground stained red with blood. When I woke up again, we had both been reborn to the day before our wedding. Without saying a word, we both silently agreed not to proceed with the marriage. He ignored his parents' objections and embarked on the path of furthering his studies abroad. As for me, just like in my previous life, I stayed behind in the gallery. Since I made my choice, I have no regrets. Chapter 3. After being mocked by Ryan, my husband called me. Eva, I just heard from the driver that you slipped into the landscaping while helping someone pick up their phone. Are you hurt? His anxious voice was full of concern, bringing a smile to my face. No, I'm fine. Don't worry. That's good to hear. I've got a few things to wrap up here, but I'll be there as soon as I'm done. All right. See you soon. After hanging up, the smile lingered on my lips. It wasn't until I heard the class monitor calling my name that I returned to reality. He said the professor would arrive later and urged me with a laugh. Come have a drink with everyone. It's been years since we last met. And besides, this is wine that Ryan specially brought back. As soon as I entered the room, I heard Celine's sugary voice. She raised her glass toward me, smiling. Eva, come and have a taste. Everyone was gathered around Ryan and Celine, showering them with praise about how good the wine was. I took a sip and set the glass aside. The wine, honestly, was quite mediocre. Besides, since my husband and I were trying for a baby, it wasn't the right time to drink much. I planned to leave it at that, but Celine stuck to me like glue. She insisted that I properly evaluate the wine. Everyone there was a seasoned adult who could easily see through her intentions. This was no innocent invitation but a deliberate attempt to make things difficult for me. Some people, seeing that I didn't respond, joined in to mock me. It seems our school beauty can't tell if the wine is good or not. Huh? Like a pig trying to savor fine grain, just joking. Don't take it personally. Lighten the mood a bit. Our school really is inclusive. It doesn't matter if you're just a nobody. Today, everyone's invited. Don't be like that. Who doesn't know that Eva used to cling to Ryan every day back then? But look at them now, he's a big shot. And they broke up. Their words dripped with sarcasm, targeting me from every angle. Celine, clearly satisfied, gave a smug smile. Oh, don't say that. I just wanted Eva to try the wine. That's all, no other intentions. Her words seemed harmless, but her gaze was filled with provocation and smugness. I had no interest in playing her little games or engaging with these fickle people. Walking out of the room, I checked my phone and saw a message from my husband. He was still concerned about whether I was okay and mentioned that he'd be arriving with the professor soon. I replied to let him know I was fine and reminded him to stay safe on his way over. Just as I finished replying, Ryan showed up. Eva, I used to think you were just a useless burden when it came to going abroad, but after all these years, I see you've become nothing more than a country bumpkin who can't even drink wine properly. It turned out he had been hiding nearby, enjoying the show. Celine and I are getting engaged, he announced while carefully observing my reaction. Tell me, if you had followed me abroad to start a business, maybe by now we'd be married with kids again. But no, you had to be so stubborn. The result of your stubbornness is a life of mediocrity, being looked down upon, mocked. I interrupted his endless rambling with a casual response, congratulations. Ryan's face instantly froze, his expression turning awkward. Congratulations on what? On your engagement. Wishing you happiness. Ryan's face contorted with rage, his veins bulging as he glared at me. You'd better mean that. Lowering my head, I brushed past him and walked back inside. If it weren't for wanting to see the professor, I wouldn't have bothered coming to this circus. So much unnecessary drama. I found a private room to sit in for a moment of peace. When I finally returned to the small banquet hall, I noticed everyone giving me strange looks. I had no idea why. Chapter 4. It wasn't until Celine spoke up that I understood what was happening. It's fine. It's just a necklace. If it's lost, it's lost. Let's not ruin the harmony between classmates over it. That's when I realized it was Celine's necklace that had gone missing. However, the only two people who had been in close proximity to her earlier were Ryan and me. During the wine tasting, Celine had placed her necklace on a nearby chair. Coupled with the unpleasant exchange we had earlier, everyone naturally assumed that I had taken her necklace as a form of revenge. Well, you're being way too nice. That was the engagement gift from Ryan. If it were me, I'd make sure to investigate this thoroughly. Exactly. Some people are not only poor but also lack character, resorting to petty theft. I frowned, irritation flashing across my face, as I spoke sharply. If you have something to say, just say it. We're all adults here. What's the point of beating around the bush? Well, if you don't like it, maybe stop doing shady things. Exactly. Looks can only get you so far if your character is rotten. A girl with glasses chimed in, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I walked straight up to her. My expression dark and unamused. Staring her down, she seemed startled and immediately took 2 steps back. What? You want to hit me now that I've told the truth? Hit you? You're not worth it. You. Her clenched fists betrayed her rising anger. Sensing the awkward tension, someone quickly stepped in to mediate. All right. Today is supposed to be a happy reunion organized by the professor. Let's not ruin it with all this unpleasantness. Celine. 2. Feigned politeness. That's right. We've all been classmates for years. Let's not make this ugly. Just let it go. I turned to look at Celine's fake, hypocritical face and couldn't help but sneer. Let it go? No way. Investigate. This has to be thoroughly investigated today. I'd like to see who's throwing this baseless accusation at me. A lousy necklace. And you act like it's some priceless treasure. My words visibly irritated Celine. Her expression darkened, her face twisting in displeasure. It seems Eva usually wears necklaces worth millions. Such modesty. Truly impressive. The others jumped in with mockery. Modesty? Please. It's just an act. When she arrived covered in mud earlier, I bet she was in such a rush she tripped and face-planted. Don't be so harsh. After all, with her looks, she could always find a way to get money. At that, the group burst into laughter, fully understanding the insinuation. Ryan walked back into the room just then. What are you all laughing at? The laughter abruptly ceased. Ryan's eyes were slightly red, his tone carrying a trace of frustration. When Celine saw him, she immediately walked over, throwing herself into his arms. What's wrong? She asked tenderly. Ryan instinctively wrapped his arm around her waist, shaking his head slightly to indicate he was fine. The group seized the moment to shower them with compliments. You two are such a perfect match. Ryan turned back to the group, asking again what had happened. Celine glanced at me before replying, her tone pointed. The necklace you gave me is missing. I had set it down on the chair next to Eva earlier. Other than her, no one else was near it. Ryan tightened his hold on Celine and gave me a sharp look. Then she should pay for it, he said coldly. Or is it that, after working all these years, you still can't afford a necklace? With their words, the couple had already declared me guilty. How much was this necklace? Celine? 2 million. The room collectively gasped. Of course, it wasn't cheap. I noticed earlier that the diamonds on it looked extraordinary. Yeah, spending 2 million on a necklace, clearly. They've got some serious means. The group's fawning made Celine feel even more triumphant. She cleared her throat dramatically. Actually, the necklace has been discontinued, so its market value is even higher now. But since we're all classmates, I don't want to make this too ugly. Ryan watched the scene coldly from the side. Celine, feigning magnanimity, added, this amount might be nothing to us, but for you, it's probably something you couldn't earn in a lifetime. Here's what we'll do, apologize to me sincerely, and I'll let this go. Chapter 5. I let out a cold laugh. Just as I was about to retort, someone behind me gave me a push. I lost my balance and fell, knocking Celine to the ground along with me, spilling a nearby glass of wine in the process. Celine's dress was soaked with wine. Ryan immediately rushed over to help her up. Eva, what do you think you're doing? Someone in the crowd muttered that I was jealous of Celine, and the conversation quickly spiraled. Back in the day, Eva and Ryan were a couple. Now that Ryan and Celine are together and living so well, of course, she's jealous. She's probably regretting it now that her ex is so successful. Why didn't she think of this sooner? Exactly. I never thought Eva would be this kind of person. Ridiculous. I pressed my lips together in frustration. Someone pushed me just now. I didn't mean to bump into her. Eva. Celine interrupted me. I understand. It must be hard for you to see me and Ryan together. But it's been so long already. Back then, it was your decision. Oh, well, it's all in the past. She spoke as if she were the victim of some great injustice. Ryan frowned and added, Eva, whatever was between us ended a long time ago. There's no chance of it ever happening again. I suppressed my growing anger and replied coldly, that's right, it ended long ago, and there's no chance it will ever happen again. See, Now she's playing hard to get. Someone whispered mockingly. No matter what I said, they twisted my words into lies. I didn't want to waste any more time arguing with these fools. Just as I turned to leave, Ryan grabbed my arm. Eva, you still haven't apologized to Celine. I held back my frustration and tried to keep my composure. I already said someone pushed me. It wasn't intentional, so I won't apologize. As for the necklace, I'll file a police report. Celine, with an air of magnanimity, chimed in. Forget it. Forget it. It's just a necklace. If she doesn't want to pay, we'll just consider it a gift. The crowd of sycophants started criticizing me again. Look at Celine. Then look at Eva. There's just no comparison. With that level of grace. No wonder Celine succeeded in business. Meanwhile, some people have been muddling through for years and only have their looks to show for it. Just then, Luis arrived with the professor. What's everyone gathered here for? Luis is here. The others quickly swarmed around Luis, eager to flatter him. Luis came from a well-known family business empire. He had already made a name for himself in the industry, becoming one of the top CEOs in the city. Many people saw this as an opportunity to establish connections with him. Although Ryan had his own company, it was nothing compared to Luis's stature. Ryan stood off to the side, his expression dark and stormy. Moments ago, he had been the center of attention, but now someone else had stolen the spotlight. His frustration was palpable. Luis, meanwhile, was surrounded by layers of admirers. I bent down slightly and squeezed through the crowd to reach him. Luis grabbed my hand and asked, "What happened here just now?" Before I could answer, the others eagerly began explaining the situation. After listening, Luis raised an eyebrow and glanced at me. Then, with a hint of teasing, he asked, "Jealous of those two being together?" I shook my head vigorously. "Absolutely not. They're lying." Someone pushed me, and that's why I bumped into Celine. Seeing the serious look on my face, Luis couldn't help but chuckle. "Of course. I believe you. By the way, how much for the broken wine and Celine's ruined dress? Just go ahead and pay for it yourself." Then he stepped closer to me. "After all, the money's all with you now, isn't it?" Seeing how close Luis and I were, the crowd began to sense something unusual. Ryan's expression turned even colder than before, and Celine's smile became noticeably strained. "Forget it. Let's just forget it. Talking about money only hurts feelings," Celine said, forcing a smile. Chapter 6. I let out a cold snort. Money can't harm the relationships we truly care about. What's more important than money is the truth. Luis nodded in agreement. Then he asked, "Did you drink wine?" I smiled sheepishly. "Just a little bit. Don't drink it again." Luis gently shook his head. "I'm not blaming you. It's just that drinking low-quality wine isn't good for you." Low-quality wine? Everyone caught on to that comment immediately. Impossible. This wine was brought back by Celine from a vineyard abroad. That's right, Luis. You must be mistaken. Luis was a wine connoisseur with thousands of bottles in his private collection. He had a keen nose and palate, capable of distinguishing real from fake with just a sniff. "It's nothing rare or hard to tell apart," he said plainly. Celine's forced smile faltered, her tone growing sharper. "Luis and Eva seem so close," she remarked, a hint of venom in her voice. Luis ignored her and pulled out his phone to make a call. Everyone was confused by his actions. "Give it a few minutes, and the truth will be revealed. By the way," he added, "this hotel belongs to Eva. The manager will be bringing the surveillance footage shortly." Watching Luis's calm concern for me, I suddenly felt like everything I'd gone through today wasn't worth getting upset over. The others started fidgeting in their seats, clearly regretting their earlier attempts to curry favor with Celine. A flicker of panic crossed Celine's face, but she quickly masked it with a forced laugh. "Luis, you wouldn't go so far as to fake evidence just to defend Eva, would you?" Luis replied evenly. "Fake evidence? Hardly. But you passing off inferior wine as something special, who do you think you're fooling?" Celine was rendered speechless, her expression growing darker. Ryan's face remained cold and silent throughout. The truth was soon revealed. It turned out that the whole incident had been orchestrated by Celine. She had taken off her own necklace and slipped it into my pocket. Then, She arranged for someone to stand behind me and push me at just the right moment. What about the wine? Are we just going to waste it? Someone asked. All this trouble over Eva, what a waste. The video showed Celine's smug grin, almost splitting her face in two. It's just wine that costs a few dozen bucks a bottle. Do you really think I'd serve good wine to that bunch of fools? What if they figure out it's low quality? Ha! What good wine have they ever tasted? Even if I farted in public, those pig-brained fools would still praise it as fragrant. Her accomplice nodded repeatedly, praising her cleverness. When the video ended, Celine's face was ashen. She tried to defend herself, but no one was buying it anymore. Well, it seems those who've lived abroad have a knack for scheming. Honestly, I thought the wine tasted like rotten grapes earlier, but I assumed Ryan wouldn't serve cheap stuff given how wealthy he is. Guess appearances can be deceiving. Maybe that's how they save money. With each remark, Celine and Ryan's faces grew darker. The atmosphere became unbearably awkward. It wasn't until the professor stepped in to smooth things over that the matter was finally put to rest. The group shifted back to their polite, refined selves, raising glasses and mingling as though nothing had happened. Luis, why don't you share some insights on your success? The professor, seated at the head of the table, beamed with pride as he spoke about his star pupil. My mood, which had been lackluster, brightened instantly. My husband was about to give a speech. As he spoke, Luis eventually brought up me. Behind every successful man is a supportive woman. Everything I have today, I owe to my wife, Eva. His words made our relationship clear to everyone. The entire room gasped audibly. Luis is married? And to Eva. Eva really kept it under wraps, didn't mention a word earlier. Across from me, Ryan's expression turned bizarre. His gaze toward me was filled with resentment, as if I had somehow betrayed him. Ignoring the fact that the professor was still speaking, he abruptly stood up and walked out. Celine quickly followed after him. Chapter 7. As the event came to an end, I found myself surrounded by a group of people. We always knew you were modest, but we didn't realize you were this low-key. You and Luis are such a perfect match. Exactly. You two look amazing together. Yeah, why didn't you invite us to the wedding? We've been classmates for so many years. We would have loved to celebrate with you. Luis was off to the side, handling a work call. I didn't want to deal with these people, but I had to respond politely. Our wedding was a private affair. Excuse me, I have other matters to attend to. The dismissal in my tone was obvious. Reluctantly, they dispersed. Luis finished his call just in time. He pulled me into his arms, his voice carrying a hint of playful complaint. Mom said we should pick up the gift she ordered for Dad's birthday on our way home. Of course. No problem. But I've got some work to finish later. So, I lightly hit his chest with my fist. All right. I'll pick it up. Our big boss should just focus on work. Luis broke into a happy laugh but glanced behind me, his expression changing slightly. It seems like another man's been watching you this whole time. He pouted slightly as he whispered, his lips unconsciously forming a sulky pout. I found it adorable and leaned in to kiss him. Luis wrapped his arms around me once again. I love you, he whispered softly into my ear. Then, I watched him leave with a smile. As I prepared to leave as well, Ryan called out to me. His nose and the corners of his eyes were red. Are you really married to Luis? I nodded, unwilling to say much more to him. He glared at me with a mix of anger and hurt, stepping closer with every word. I took a few steps back, irritated by his persistence and wanting nothing to do with him. He roared, Eva, how could you marry another man behind my back? How could you do this to me? His words were absurd, as though I had cheated on him. Don't say things like that. We broke up long ago, and you're about to have your own family now. No, he shouted, his voice trembling. Celine and I were never really together. That was a lie, Ryan blurted out. I just wanted to make you jealous. Everything was fake. These past 5 years, you've completely ignored me. There was a hint of grievance in his tone. I took another step back, putting more distance between us. After we were reborn, you left for abroad without saying a word. He fell silent, unable to refute. I continued. No matter what, It's over between us, whether it was in the previous life or now. All the grudges and emotions are settled. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. You've achieved success, and I have my own family. Let's not see each other again. Hearing me say we shouldn't meet anymore, he panicked. Eva, I left back then just to prove to you that my choice was the right one. I sighed, looking at him with a calm expression. All you ever wanted was to prove you were better off than me. If you thought I was doing well now, you wouldn't have sought me out. You just want to see me beneath you. Ryan shook his head, denying my accusation. Eva, I've thought about you every single day over these years. Thought about me? Thought about me regretting? Begging in front of you like a dog? Once again, he was silent. I let out a small laugh. Ryan, ever since we parted ways, I've never regretted it. Not even for a second. No matter what happened in our past life. It's all behind me now. Chapter 8. What do you mean it's all behind us? In our previous life, we even had a child together. And you can just say it's over so easily? Ryan grabbed my arm, refusing to let go. Eva, don't you have a conscience? We've only been apart for 5 years, just 5 years. That's not a whole lifetime. To be honest, when we first got our second chance at life, I often felt a heavy weight in my heart. We had been together since college. We were married for nearly 20 years. I had truly loved him and cherished the little family we built. That's why I had been willing to work tirelessly for our home, even considering marrying him again after we were reborn. But later, I came to understand that we were never meant to be. You can't force something that doesn't fit. It felt like we fought countless times over work, but those arguments were really about our incompatible values. We weren't the right match for each other. Staying together only caused mutual pain. The entanglements of our previous life had untangled themselves in this one. Tears welled up in Ryan's eyes again. Eva, I still don't understand why you refused to go abroad with me. You were all alone. You only had Olivia and me, with both of us abroad. What was the point of staying here? I gently shook my head. That's not true. In the beginning, I stayed in the city because you were here. Ryan was a local, and back then, I chose to stay for him. Later, it was because I valued the family we had built together. His parents treated me like their own daughter. They were getting older, and I couldn't bear to leave them behind. I also didn't want Olivia, so young, to live a life of constant upheaval, always moving from one place to another. Ryan's eyes glazed over as if he were replaying those moments in his mind. Ryan, did you leave because you genuinely wanted a better life for Olivia? Probably not, right? You left because of your pride. You couldn't stand seeing classmates who used to have less than you suddenly doing better. It hurts your ego. So, let's not see each other again. Take care of yourself. I turned to leave. Suddenly, Ryan ran in front of me, blocking my way. Eva, you don't mean that, right? I know you must have been furious when I left without a word, but I'm back now, aren't I? Everything I earned for you. Stop saying things you don't mean. Saying things I don't mean? Where did he get that idea? I had made myself perfectly clear. Suddenly, he grabbed the bracelet from my wrist. This is the charm I gave you when we first started dating. It's been over 10 years, and the string is so worn, yet you still wear it. I reached out to snatch the charm back, finding his assumption utterly laughable. In our previous life, he had indeed given me a safety charm. I had also given him one in return, but within days, he had decided it didn't look good and taken it off. I, however, had worn mine for years. But time changes everything. This charm wasn't the one he had given me. This was a new one, gifted to me by Luis after he had it blessed at a temple. You're overthinking things, I said calmly. This was a gift from my husband. The one you gave me? I threw it away long ago. I don't believe you. His eyes widened in defiance. You're just saying that to spite me. Eva, divorce him. I don't care if you're a divorcee. You didn't want to go abroad with me, so I stayed here for you. Now that I have money, I can support all your decisions. Let's have another child and bring Olivia back to us. He was still hopelessly deluded. I sighed deeply and replied with a note of finality. I will never divorce Luis. You won't divorce him? I ignored him and strode away. Fine. But don't regret this. Ryan's voice echoed behind me, filled with bitterness and desperation. Chapter 9. Later, I heard from mutual friends that Ryan had returned abroad. Finally, he was gone. I felt relieved, no longer suffocated by his relentless pestering. But just as Ryan stopped bothering me, others started. Ever since the class reunion, numerous former classmates reached out, trying to add me on social media and even suggesting collaborations. I had my assistant reject them all. A bunch of opportunists wasn't worth my time. On my birthday, Luis woke me up bright and early. Eva, get ready. Your husband is taking you out. I looked at him playfully, pouting. So early? Can't I sleep a little longer? Luis chuckled softly. How could we waste such a beautiful day sleeping? He took me to a Sky Garden restaurant. It turned out he had planned a birthday party for me, full of surprises, big and small, throughout the day. Seeing Luis's smiling face, I felt incredibly fortunate. Fortunate to have such a wonderful husband. He was there to comfort me when I needed it. He was there to care for me when I needed it. A long time ago, I asked Luis why he chose me to be his girlfriend. Why did he treat me so well? He answered with conviction, because you deserve it. Luis told me he had known me for a long time. So long that the first time he saw me was when I was giving vaccinations to stray cats by the roadside. Do you know why? Out of so many professors, I chose to work with the same one as you? Because I wanted to be your senior, or rather, because you were there. But later, when you were with Ryan, I quietly wished the best for you too. Luis had said. Luckily, the heavens were kind to me. I finally got to be with you. Indeed, being with Luis in this lifetime felt like a blessing from the heavens. That day, we had a wonderful evening together. I thought life would continue to unfold in a slow, steady happiness. But the next day, Ryan appeared at the entrance of my gallery. He looked pale, his face haggard and drawn. When he saw me, he immediately stood up. Ryan, why are you back? Didn't you say you were leaving? What are you doing here? Hearing this, Ryan's face lit up with joy. He must have misunderstood, thinking I cared about him. His happiness was all too obvious. I felt utterly exasperated. Eva, yesterday was your birthday. I waited here for you the whole day. This is your birthday gift from me. He pulled out a beautifully wrapped box from his bag. Inside was a necklace identical to the one Celine had. I glanced at it briefly. Sorry, but my husband would misunderstand. I don't want to upset him. Eva. He looked visibly displeased, his eyes reddening as he glared at me. Then his tone softened. I've sold all my assets abroad. From now on, I'm staying here. I won't go anywhere else. I'll be here for you. Eva, please don't be so cold. I'm miserable. I know I've done many wrong things in the past. I'm apologizing, okay? Please forgive me. He began repeating I'm sorry over and over again, admitting fault and begging for my forgiveness. His attitude was humbler than I had ever seen, but all I felt was a headache. It was all in the past. As for whether what he said was true or not, I no longer cared. Ryan, I already made myself clear last time. It's over between us, whether you can accept it or not. There's no possibility for us anymore. Eva? Luis approached with a small box in his hand. A little gift for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Ever since we got together, he had made it a habit to prepare a small gift for me every day. I took the gift and gently kissed his cheek. Ryan looked at us in disbelief. Then, he hastily wiped away the tears that were nearly spilling from his eyes. Hello! Caught off guard, Ryan stammered a greeting before fleeing the scene in a panic. Am I that scary? Luis muttered under his breath, a hint of playful confusion in his tone. I chuckled. Not at all. Then what were you two talking about just now? I distinctly heard him talking about being together. His jealous pout and tone were utterly adorable. I turned away with a playful air of pride. And did you also hear your wife firmly and righteously tell him it's impossible? Chapter 10. After that day, Ryan stopped showing up in front of me for a long time, but he would occasionally send me messages, sometimes reminiscing about the past, other times apologizing. Whenever I saw them, I blocked him. Then he'd get a new number and send more. again and again, tirelessly. Eventually, Ryan broke down. He became trapped in the memories of our past life. His thoughts jumbled, and his mental state deteriorated until he was admitted to a hospital. The day I went to see him, he was kneeling on the ground, struggling to pick a small flower nearby. It was such a simple task, something even a child could do with ease. Yet it seemed insurmountable for him. I couldn't help but think of Ryan from years ago, so composed, confident, and proud. But now, he was wearing a shabby hospital gown, his hair unkempt, his body covered in dust and oil stains. He looked so much older, as if he were in his 50s or 60s. I looked into his vacant eyes and asked, "Are you okay here?" Ryan didn't answer my question. Instead, he smiled and asked, "Eva, are you here to see our daughter?" Then he stood up and spun around in place, as if searching for something. I stared at his stained hospital gown, remaining silent. When I didn't respond, Ryan spoke again. "Where's Olivia?" "Oh, I know. She's gone to get you a gift. Look, a bouquet." Olivia prepared this. He carefully brushed the dirt off the flower he'd been holding and handed it to me with trembling hands. I was about to say something when a nurse interrupted. "Ma'am, visiting hours are over." I stood up, swallowing my words, and left the room. As the nurse walked me out, she spoke about Ryan's condition. "His mental state is worsening. He keeps talking about a child, asking where his child is, and apologizing repeatedly." I turned back, looking through the window to see Ryan watching me. "Remember to come see the child," he called out. I turned away without looking back. As I stepped out of the psychiatric hospital, Luis was there, carefully supporting me. I touched my pregnant belly. A child? Luis and I already had one on the way.